Help us hit our first 1,000 subscribers. Your support drives us to create even more wonderful stories. Thanks for being part of our journey. In this video, she said it was a girls' weekend, but when I tracked her phone to a hotel across town, I walked into something that shattered my entire life in seconds. Chapter 1. The girls' weekend. Emily stood in the hallway zipping her suitcase. Her smile a little too perfect. I just need this weekend with the girls. Spa time mimosas. No stress, she said. Kissing me on the cheek, I nodded, pretending to believe every word. But something in my gut whispered, she's lying. She wore the black dress she usually saved for special occasions. The one she hadn't touched since our anniversary dinner last year. She spritzed her neck with that perfume I got her for Christmas and double-checked her hair in the mirror. Then she did something odd. She took off her wedding ring and slid it into the drawer beside her makeup brushes. I stared at it after she left. She didn't forget it. Emily never forgot anything. Especially not that ring. I tried to ignore the rising panic in my chest. Maybe it was just uncomfortable for travel? Maybe she didn't want to lose it at the spa? But as I walked past our kitchen table, I saw her printed itinerary, supposedly showing her weekend plans with Rachel and Laura at the beachside resort. I picked it up, scanned it. The logo at the top said Blue Horizon Resort, but something caught my eye, a check-in date for 2 guests. 2? My hand trembled as I reached for my phone. I opened the Find My app we'd set up ages ago when she lost her AirPods. Her phone wasn't anywhere near the coast. It was still in town, downtown. I zoomed in, a luxury hotel we both knew well. One we'd stayed at during our honeymoon. Only this time, she wasn't there with me. Why lie about the destination? Why pretend to be hours away when she was minutes from home? The questions piled up faster than my heartbeat could catch up. And the worst part was, a small part of me already knew the answers, but I wasn't ready to admit it. Not yet. Still, that ring in the drawer? That wasn't an accident. Don't go anywhere, because in the next chapter, things spiral fast when I decide to track her down and walk into something that changes everything I thought I knew about my wife. Keep watching. It only gets crazier. Up next. Chapter 2, Room 709. I sat in my car across the street from the hotel. My hands glued to the steering wheel like I was waiting for permission to move. My heart hammered against my ribs like it was trying to warn me. Turn back. Dante, go in there. But my curiosity was louder than my fear. And every minute I waited made it worse. Through the grand hotel windows, I could see people laughing in the lobby, dragging suitcases, sipping cocktails. Normal people living normal lives. Meanwhile, I was about to confront a truth that could burn my whole world to ash. I opened the door, stepped out, and crossed the street like I was walking into fire. Inside, the scent of luxury and lemon polish hit me instantly. The concierge barely glanced up as I strode past the reception desk toward the elevators. I didn't know what room she was in, not for sure, but I had a guess. Room 709. That was our room number from our honeymoon. And Emily always said it was her lucky number. I remembered it because she once joked that if she ever had an affair, it would be in that exact room. Just for the irony. It didn't feel funny anymore. I pressed the elevator button. Floor 7. The ride up felt like an eternity. Each ding of the elevator was like a countdown to something I wasn't sure I could handle. When the doors slid open, the hallway was empty. I walked slowly, deliberately, each step heavy with dread. Room 709 stood at the end, its golden numbers shining like they were mocking me. I lifted my hand to knock, but I froze. Voices, a man's voice, deep, laughing, and Emily's, lighter, flirtatious, unfamiliar. She was giggling, not the way she laughed with me. This was different, intimate. I pulled out my phone and started recording, not because I wanted evidence, but because I didn't trust my brain to remember this moment without questioning my sanity later. I leaned closer to the door, heart in my throat. Then it happened. The door opened. Not Emily, a man, shirtless. He blinked, startled to see me standing there, then tried to slam the door, but I shoved my foot in before it closed. I forced it open and stepped inside, and there she was, my wife, wrapped in a hotel robe, holding a glass of wine. Her face turned white. Her mouth opened like she wanted to say something, but no sound came out. And that's when I noticed the suitcase on the floor. It wasn't hers. It was mine. And somehow I had no memory of bringing it here. Wait, what? Don't stop now. Because the next chapter unlocks a dark twist that will make you question everything you just read. Trust me. You need to hear what happens next. Coming up. Chapter 3, The Robe, the Man, and the Memory. Emily's eyes flicked between me and the man, her hand tightening on the stem of the wine glass. Her lips trembled like she wanted to speak, but the silence between us was so thick it felt like drowning. I stared at her robe, the exact one the hotel gifted us on our honeymoon, and I realized she had recreated that night. But not with me. The man, tall, mid-30s, with smugness written all over his bare chest, raised his hands slightly. "Look, man, I didn't know she was married," he said, like that made any of it better. Emily let out a breath, finally stepping forward. "It's not what it looks like," she blurted. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because that sentence was so predictable it made my stomach turn. "It's exactly what it looks like," I said, my voice flat. "You booked a hotel, brought wine, wore our honeymoon robe, and you used my suitcase to do it." That last part made her flinch. I didn't take your suitcase," she said slowly. "But it's here, Emily. How would it be here if you didn't take it?" My head was spinning. I walked over, knelt beside the suitcase, and unzipped it. Inside were my clothes, my cologne, even the black shirt I thought I'd lost a month ago. That's when something clicked in my brain. The strange moment last week when I came home and couldn't find my keys, only to discover them later in my coat pocket. Or when my favorite watch was gone and then reappeared 2 days later in the bathroom drawer. I thought I was losing it, but now it was clear. Someone had access to my things, and that someone was in this room. "Did you go through my stuff?" I asked, turning to Emily. She looked caught. She hesitated too long, and then whispered, "I needed something to make it feel real." "Real?" The air drained from my lungs. "You mean this wasn't just an affair?" She bit her lip. "I missed who we used to be, so I tried to relive it with someone else." That's when something snapped. Not in anger, but in understanding. This wasn't about sex. It was about replacing me, rewriting our history with someone new. "You recreated our honeymoon," I said quietly. She nodded, tears falling now. "And you used my things to do it." She sank down onto the bed. I thought if I could feel those moments again, maybe I'd know why I stopped loving you. The room fell deathly silent. And then, her lover's phone buzzed. A message on the screen lit up, from a contact named Emily Work. I snatched the phone before either of them could react. And what I saw on that screen shattered everything I thought I knew. The messages weren't just from this week. They went back 6 years. Back to before we were even married. That means the affair started before our wedding. But that wasn't even the worst part. The real punch? A photo sent a year ago, a positive pregnancy test, and a message underneath. Does he know it's not his? My vision blurred. I felt the world tilt under my feet. My daughter. Was she even mine? You can't stop now. What happens next will leave you breathless. The unraveling is just beginning, and the final reveal is something no one will see coming. Keep watching. In the next chapter. Chapter 4, The DNA Test I Never Thought I'd Take. I don't remember driving home that night. Everything was a blur. The lights, the road, the weight in my chest. I couldn't stop seeing that message on his phone. Does he know it's not his? Emily didn't try to follow me. She stayed in that hotel room with him, and that silence said more than any words ever could. When I walked into our house, I felt like a stranger. Every framed photo of our daughter, Lily, felt like it was mocking me. I dropped onto the couch, grabbed my phone, and typed something I never thought I would. How to get a secret DNA paternity test. 2 days later, the kit arrived in a discreet envelope. I waited until Emily took Lily to dance practice. Then I went into the bathroom, found Lily's toothbrush, and sealed it in the envelope. I felt like a criminal, and at the same time, like a man finally waking up from a dream. For the next week, I barely slept. Emily avoided me. She acted like nothing had happened, like that hotel night didn't exist. Maybe she thought I'd bury it, that I'd pretend, like I always did. just to keep things normal. But I couldn't unsee the message. I couldn't unfeel that gut punch. When the results finally arrived, my hands were shaking. I opened the email. Read the words 3 times before they sank in. Probability of paternity 0-00%. I dropped the phone. Lily wasn't mine. Not biologically, but I was the one who read her stories at night, took her to school, held her when she had nightmares. Still, everything changed in that moment. I wanted to scream, to rage, but instead I just sat there and cried. Then I heard the door open. Emily walked in with Lily, smiling, pretending like our lives weren't about to explode. That's when I stood up and said it. I know. Her smile faltered. Know what? She asked. About the hotel. About him. About Lily. She went pale. And then she laughed. You got a DNA test without telling me? It's not about the test. It's about the lies. All of them. And then she said something I'll never forget. Then you finally understand why I chose him. You never really knew how to fight for me. That's when I realized. She wasn't sorry. She never had been. She didn't feel guilty. She felt justified. And that changed everything. Because I thought I was the victim in this story. But maybe she was rewriting it all along. You need to keep watching. The next chapter reveals the shocking confrontation that changes everything. And trust me, you won't believe how it ends. Coming up in the next part. Chapter 5. I caught them together, and she didn't even flinch. I didn't plan it. I wasn't stalking her, but something inside me said, go. It was Thursday. Emily said she was working late again, but this time I followed her, not because I wanted to catch her, because I needed the truth to punch me in the face, to stop the guessing, the spiraling, to kill the last hope I was still holding on to. She parked 2 blocks away from the Wyndham Grand Hotel, same place where I'd seen her before. She checked her reflection in the mirror, fixed her lipstick, and smiled, like she was meeting me, but she wasn't. I stayed in my car, heart racing, hands cold. I watched her enter the side entrance, room key already in hand. She'd done this before, too many times. 10 minutes passed. 20. I got out of the car. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew I had to see it, with my own eyes. I walked into the hotel like I belonged there. Elevator to the 5th floor, room 508. I remembered the number from the last time I checked the receipts. I stood there for a second, then knocked. Silence, then whispers, shuffling. The door cracked open, and there he was, Nathan, tall, athletic.
Nos chert, nos cham.
And behind him, Emily, wearing his shirt. Her eyes met mine. Not panic, not guilt, just irritation. Can we not do this here? She said, like I was the one interrupting their moment. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because the pain had boiled over into something that didn't even feel real anymore. You didn't even try to hide it, I said. Nathan folded his arms. Didn't say a word. Didn't have to. He already won. I looked at Emily one last time, and she just stared back, like I was a stranger, like I never existed, like our whole life was disposable. I turned and walked away, not because I was weak, but because for the first time I understood. She didn't cheat because something was missing. She cheated because she didn't care if it broke me, and somehow, that hurt the most. The moment that broke everything has just happened, but in the next part, a truth even deeper than betrayal will surface, and it will change the course of the story forever. You're not ready for what's coming. Keep watching in the next chapter. Chapter 6. She lied to my face. While holding my hand, the next morning, Emily came home like nothing happened, hair still slightly curled, same perfume she wore the night before. She leaned down to kiss me, and I let her, not because I forgave her, but because I wanted to see how far she'd go, how well she could pretend. She poured herself coffee, asked if I wanted pancakes, talked about work, meetings, stress, everything except the fact that I'd stood in front of her hotel room while she stood there, half-dressed, with another man. I played along, smiled, nodded, even laughed. But inside me, something shifted. It wasn't rage. It wasn't sorrow. It was cold calculation. I needed to know everything, not just that she cheated. I wanted to know how long, how many lies, how deep this betrayal went. So I started asking questions. Subtle at first. How's work been lately? Anyone new join the team? Are you still helping out with that conference planning? She didn't flinch, didn't stutter. She had her answers rehearsed, like a script she'd memorized in her sleep. But then, one moment broke her rhythm. I mentioned Nathan's name. She paused, only for half a second, but I saw it, and that was all I needed. I smiled, took a sip of my coffee, and told her, "Funny thing, I ran into someone from your office yesterday." Her face went pale, and that's when I saw the crack. Small, but growing. She asked, "Who?" I said, "You tell me." She laughed, nervously, said I was being paranoid, said I was overthinking things again, like I always do. I nodded, but inside, I knew she wasn't just cheating. She was trying to rewrite the truth, make me question my sanity, make me think I was the problem. That moment shattered something deeper than trust, because betrayal is one thing, but gaslighting, that's war. You think you've seen betrayal? Wait until you hear what he finds in her phone. Something that will flip this entire story upside down. Keep watching, because the next chapter changes everything. Coming up next. Chapter 7. The message that changed everything. That evening, while Emily was in the shower, I did something I swore I'd never do in a relationship. I picked up her phone. My hands were trembling. I knew her passcode. She never changed it. Why would she? She trusted me to never look. And until that moment, I hadn't. But this wasn't about curiosity anymore. This was survival. My sanity was slipping, and I needed the truth like oxygen. I opened her messages, scrolled past innocent conversations with friends, her sister, even a few coworkers, all normal. But then I saw a message thread with a contact saved only as M. No last name.
No emoji.
Just a single letter. That alone told me everything. I opened the thread. The first message I saw was from last night. "Still thinking about you. Your scent's still on my sheets." I felt sick, but I kept scrolling. Photos, not explicit, but intimate. A wine glass in a hotel room, her legs under the sheets, his hand in her hair, all from the same weekend she claimed to be out of town for work. She told me she was going to a marketing retreat. I even packed her bag. Every detail she told me was a lie. I scrolled further and found something worse. Messages about me. "He still has no clue. You're the only one who makes me feel alive. I'll leave him after the holidays." That line hit me like a brick. She wasn't just cheating. She was planning to replace me, to throw away years of love, memories, and shared life like garbage. And here's the part that cracked my chest open. He replied, "You said that last year, and the year before that, he's your safety net. Emily, I'm your escape." So not only was she lying to me, she was lying to him too. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't just betrayal. This was who she really was. You won't believe what he does next. What would you do if you found messages like that? The next part will make you question everything you thought about revenge and love. Don't go anywhere, because it's about to get wild. Coming up next. Chapter 8. The setup. The next morning, I didn't tell Emily what I knew. I kissed her forehead like nothing happened, watched her pack for her client meeting, and nodded when she said she'd be back late. She was perfect at pretending, but now so was I. While she thought I was going to work, I made a very different call to a private investigator named Cole, a friend of my cousin's. He'd seen it all, and when I told him what I'd found, he didn't hesitate. "Text me the hotel name, the room number if you have it," Cole said. I gave him everything. The photo of the wine glass matched the hotel in the city center. Room 614. Booked in her name the same weekend she claimed to be networking. Cole got to work fast. Hidden cameras, voice recorders, timestamps. He said I'd have everything in 24 hours, but I didn't want just evidence. I wanted her to know that I knew, so I came up with a plan. That night, I waited until she was in the hotel. Cole confirmed it. She was there and so was They ordered champagne and room service. At 8:34 p.m. I called the front desk. I booked the room right next door to hers, room 616. I stood outside the door, listening through the thin hotel walls. Laughter, moaning, her voice. Playful, flirtatious, unrecognizable. And that's when I hit record on my phone. Not for evidence, no, for closure. Then I did something even more calculated. I slipped a note under their door. It read, "Enjoy your night, Emily. It's the last one you'll have with him." 2 minutes later, I heard chaos inside the room. Whispers, movement, then footsteps. Rushing toward the hallway, I darted back into my room and closed the door, heart pounding. But the best part? I wasn't alone in room 616. Someone was sitting quietly on the bed, waiting. Someone Emily never expected. Her boss's wife. And trust me, what happens next will leave you speechless. How do two betrayed people get revenge together? You're not ready for the storm that's coming. Don't even blink, because what's about to go down changes everything. Coming up right now. Chapter 9-2 can play this game. Natalie, the CEO's wife, stood in front of me with an icy calmness in her eyes. Her designer coat was immaculate, her expression unreadable, but her jaw was clenched so tight you could hear the tension crackle in the air. She didn't need to say much. She already knew everything. "I've suspected for weeks," she said, handing me a flash drive. "Screenshots, messages, booking receipts. Your wife's not just sleeping with my husband. She's helping him embezzle company funds." I blinked. "Wait, what? It wasn't just an affair?" She nodded slowly, reading my face. "She's not innocent, Ethan. In fact, she might be the one orchestrating the whole thing." Suddenly, everything made sense. The late nights, the expensive new dresses she claimed were sponsored, the shift in our bank activity. Emily hadn't just betrayed me emotionally. She was burning everything down for profit. Natalie's plan was simple. She was going to let it play out until the next shareholders' meeting. She wanted them both exposed. "I need your help," she said, "and in return, I'll make sure she walks away with nothing." I agreed. We would both go silent for 1 week. Pretend we knew nothing. Let them feel safe. Then, we'd bring it all crashing down. But that night, as I returned home and watched Emily crawl into bed beside me like nothing happened, I noticed something different. Her phone was locked tighter. She was nervous, and she didn't ask about my day. Something was off. And then I saw it. On the edge of her coat pocket, a hotel key card, but not for the hotel Cole had recorded. It was for a different place, a new hotel, different location, different man? Or was she setting me up? I took the key card, copied the number, and placed it back before she noticed. Tomorrow, I'd find out what was really going on, because just when I thought I'd seen the worst, I hadn't even scratched the surface. You won't believe what Ethan discovers next. What's waiting for him in that second hotel room will flip the entire story upside down. Don't miss the final chapter. It all explodes there. Keep watching because the truth is far more twisted than you think. Coming up right now. Chapter 10, The Room with the Red Curtains. The next evening, I arrived at the new hotel just before 6 p.m., room 814. My hands trembled as I slid the key card into the slot. A soft beep, a green light, the click of the lock. I stepped inside. The room smelled like her perfume. Same vanilla and citrus scent she always wore on our date nights. On the nightstand, a wine glass half full. The bed was rumpled. 2 sets of clothes were tossed at the foot. And then I heard it, water running in the bathroom. I took 1 step closer and my foot hit something on the carpet. A small voice recorder. It was still on. I picked it up and pressed play. At first, there was nothing but muffled laughter. Then her voice. "I told you he'd never suspect. Ethan trusts me like a dog. He'll be crushed when he finds out it wasn't even Cole. God, I can't wait to see his face." I froze. Wait, it wasn't Cole? A man's voice followed. One I hadn't heard before. "Don't feel bad. You played your role perfectly, and after this next meeting, we both walk away rich."
No strings.
Emily replied, "And no husband." The door to the bathroom creaked open. I stepped back, heart pounding, and out walked my brother, Jake, towel wrapped around his waist. His expression turned to horror the second he saw me. Emily came out right behind him, hair damp, a silk robe barely tied. When she spotted me, she gasped, but it wasn't guilt on her face. It was panic. "You weren't supposed to be here," she whispered. Jake stepped forward, trying to say something, but I lifted my hand. Don't say a word." Everything inside me shattered, not just because of the betrayal, but because it was planned. They weren't just lovers. They had conspired to take everything from me. My heart, my trust, and my share in the family company that Jake and I co-owned. Natalie had warned me this went deeper than lust. She was right, and now I had everything I needed. I pulled out my phone, started recording. Emily froze. "You don't have to do this," she said, voice cracking, but I just smiled.
No.
"You didn't have to do this." And with that, I walked out, leaving them both naked in more ways than one. The next morning, every board member received an anonymous email. Every video, every recording, every receipt. By evening, Jake was removed from the board. Emily was served with divorce papers, and I walked away with full ownership, a calm heart, and the quiet satisfaction of knowing one truth. Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones holding the knife. Now that you've heard the final twist, what would you have done in Ethan's place? Would you have exposed them or played the long game? Comment below. Let's see how you would end this story.